Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Mii Weekly, this time for February 5th, 2021. I'm Hero TJ, coming at you from Taipei, Taiwan. Let's get right into it. So earlier this week I found out from my favorite Twitter account, Nintendo Wire, that a Taiwanese 7-Eleven has been decked out for Pokemon's 25th anniversary. And I got to thinking, I live in Taiwan. Maybe I should go check this thing out. Turns out I actually lived pretty close, so the family and I took a trip up there to join in some of the excitement. And I thought it might be fun for this episode of Mii Weekly to give my friends in other parts of the world who don't have the opportunity to check this out themselves the grand tour. So come on in. We didn't tell the kids where we were going because we wanted it to be a surprise, and predictably, they were pretty excited. From the second you walk in the door, you're bombarded by all this really cool merchandise. They got plushies and bento boxes and drink holders. If you're a fan of the Pokemon trading card game, you might feel like you walked into heaven. They've got everything from booster packs to special edition card holders, card shields, binders. For you sleepy types, they even have a Snorlax and Pikachu pillow. Jetting around in a scooter is one of the primary ways to get around in Taiwan, so helmets are a pretty popular pickup. And if you're a Poke fan, you can deck yourself out in this yellow Pikachu and Eevee themed one, or if you prefer pink, Jigglypuff's got you covered. Not only did the 7-Eleven include all manner of merchandise, but the decor was dressed in Pokemon from top to bottom. Even behind all the shelves of stuff, you can see the image of tons of Pokemon displayed on the wall. You might even be able to spot some Pokemon of the Galarian or Alolan variety. You got some Sleepy plush, as well as a random smattering of evolutions. There's a few stylish Pokemon themed lanyards, which include a card holder that most people out here would use for their MRT card. That's the card you swipe to get on and off public transportation. There's these things called Nuts, more on that in a second. My kids just really had a blast running around picking up all the random Pokemon pieces and just basically exploring. Kind of not that dissimilar from a Pokemon adventure. There was even a few different Switch carrying case designs. My wife and I told my kids that they could pick out any souvenir that they wanted to commemorate the occasion, and they really took their time looking at everything to figure out what they would be the most happy with. My daughter ultimately settled on this really large Eevee plush, which we would have been perfectly okay with getting her, but that particular item was sold out, except for the display model that they wouldn't sell us. But I actually think it was kind of a blessing in disguise because she already has a smaller version of the Eevee plush, and actually every evolution form. So instead she chose this really cool Switch carrying case that features a lot of the Pokemon starters, some other Pokemon favorites, including her personal favorite Eevee, and on the back we get a little mythical with Mew, another Pokemon she has a particular fondness for. Now back to these Nuts, I had never heard of these before. I don't know if they're a big thing, but they were all over the place. They're basically like Pokemon Weebles. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Leave a comment in the comment section if you're old enough to get that reference. They're blind bags, so you really don't know what you're getting. Here's a closer look at some of the figures you might be able to walk away with. There's a sit-down section themed to look like a Pokemon card game battle arena, with Pokeball-themed stools and display cases showing all kinds of cards. It was fun to peek in and see the cool ones that they had on display. I could tell a lot of them are really rare, even though they were written in another language, so I couldn't really read them. I see my boy Shiny Charizard there, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. And they also had these game units set up that actually had people queued up outside waiting for their turn to play. I'm not familiar with this game. I don't really know if it's a big thing stateside, but it was certainly a big deal here. In fact, people came in with their own little booklets, carrying all these little cartridges that they could stick into the game somehow. I'm not sure if it was spawning their Pokemon or what, but people of all ages were coming in and trying their hand at the game. We got to see a lot of different Pokemon and a lot of different styles. The fella here on the left started off using the jazz musician technique, then he followed it up with some classic tickling of the ivories, and finished off with some DJ Superstar. Some of these guys really had game. Even though no one in my family really could tell what was going on with the game itself, my kids really got a kick of watching. As I mentioned, there were Pokemon on display everywhere. In fact, 808 Pokemon to be specific. I think that's almost all of them, if not all of them. And it was fun for my kids to walk around and try to find their favorite one. My daughter caught Eevee trying to hide next to Snorlax there. My son spotted Chimchar up in the beverage section. And then we found some suspiciously familiar looking footprints on the floor that we decided we would follow all the way to the Pokemon Forest, where my other son was able to find his number one, Pikachu. And he even managed to find his own special partner, Pikachu. Once we finished exploring, we grabbed some lunch. Unfortunately, none of the food was Pokemon themed, but it was still really good. When it comes to food, 7-Eleven out here is super solid. I eat it almost every day. A lot of really healthy options, always fresh, tastes great, and it was a really cool atmosphere to just sit down, take in the scenery, and enjoy the experience. And before we wrap things up, we wanted to just have one final Poke adventure. My kids thought they'd try their hand at those gacha machines, which are everywhere out here, but this 7-Eleven had a bunch of Pokemon themed ones. So we let our kids each pick one. My daughter, who for some reason just has unbelievable luck with these things, got her favorite pick on her very first and only try, a super affectionate Eevee and Pikachu cuddling up next to each other. And yes, even Dad had some fun. It was really cool to be able to be out here for this Pokemon 25th anniversary special event, and hopefully this video in some small way lets you feel like you got to experience it too. Now playing. I've had a Pokemon game on the Switch for a while that I just never really had the motivation to boot up, but with Pokemon Spirit in the air, I thought I'd give Pokemon Cafe Mix a try for the very first time. And right off the bat, I found the game to be unbelievably mind-numbingly stupid. I'm just kidding. Not really. I do really like the art style. I love this painted aesthetic with no outlines. The way the animated characters move is a style that really appeals to my personal aesthetic, but the gameplay itself is really devoid of any depth. You're pretty much just making drinks and I guess subsequently snacks. And to achieve this, you try to match all the same types of heads together. So for example, all the Charmander heads or Pikachu heads or Eevee heads. And you do this by putting your finger on the screen and swirling it in a circle, pretty much. And that's it. The game can only be played in handheld, and this is the first Switch game that I've played like that, where you can't play it on the screen at all. I know there've been others, but this was a first for me. And I gotta say, I didn't really like it because my expectation was that I was gonna play it on the screen so that my kids could watch, which probably would have been the only saving grace. But for an adult man in his late 30s, this has very little appeal, and by very little I mean absolutely none at all. If you play it long enough, you can convince other Pokemon to join you at the cafe as coworkers, and you can expand your cafe. I'm sure the game becomes more challenging the longer you play it, but in a little less than an hour, I was done. I had had enough. I don't anticipate that I'm going to be going back to this, but I am curious, if you're watching this and this is a game that you really enjoy, what am I missing? Am I overlooking some compelling puzzle aspect? Is it really just fun to sit there in a vegetative state and swirl your finger? Maybe it's like meditative or relaxing for you? I realize not every game was made for everybody, and this one was clearly not made for me, but I'm not representative of everybody. Maybe you'd like it. If this doesn't look like the kind of game that you think you'd enjoy, I'd say trust your instincts. You probably won't. Welcome to Joys and Cons with me, Hero TJ, and Dark TJ. This edition will feature Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Pokemon Yellow is one of the all-time best iterations of the entire series. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu is a faithful recreation for fans of the original, with amazing new features like being able to see wild Pokemon in the environment for the first time. Plus, there's the addition of an Eevee edition. Yeah, too bad they didn't call it Pokemon Brown. Okay, let's get the big one out of the way. Catching Pokemon in Let's Go is more imprecise and obnoxious than it has ever been. After a year or so of refined touch interface in Pokemon Go on mobile devices, the deeply flawed motion control capture mechanic is a crippling sore spot that drags down the entire experience. Even more compounded if you're unfortunate enough to play with one of those gimmicky dysfunctional cash grab Pokeball controllers. And the worst part? There's no alternative. They literally force you to play the worst possible way. For all Nintendo's efforts to make Pokemon communal through trades and battles, the actual campaign has been largely a very personal experience. But Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee allows a second player to adventure alongside you for an exciting cooperative take on the game. It's just what I've always wanted. Yes! Why? Why do I have to open so many menus and push so many buttons to access my stinking map? Has Nintendo never heard of the phrase quality of life? The original Game Boy had an A and a B button. Maybe. Such an aggravating map ritual was a necessary product of the times. But even a single Joy-Con has all kinds of buttons all over the place. The map really couldn't be assigned to one of them? The mainline Pokemon games used to be restricted to handheld devices, but in this new sprawling remake of the games that started it all, you can play portably or on the big screen. Adventuring through the world of Pokemon has never been so big. Have you tried to trade Pokemon in this game? Of course you haven't. What used to be a simple, straightforward, and free process has become so confusing you need a graph chart to figure it out. This game can trade with that game if this condition is met and that fiery hoop is jumped through. But you can't trade this game with that game unless you pay for that service. And no matter what you do, there's no way you can get that special Pokemon pal from that one game into this game without having to untangle decades worth of cords, transferring through multiple discontinued devices, and Pokebanking or homing or whatever the kids are calling it these days. Personally, I prefer the term exploiting. This has been another edition of Joys and Cons with me, Hero TJ, and Dark TJ. This episode's Spirit of the Week comes courtesy of me. I was hoping I'd get a Pokemon Spirit suggestion, but alas, such was not the case, and I really wanted to stick with the Pokemon theme. So for this edition, I'm going with Spirit number 1298, the Partner Pikachu from the Pokemon series. Pikachu first appeared in the US in Pokemon Red and Blue, but this particular Pikachu comes from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Edition. Pikachu is so well established in pop culture, he's practically synonymous with the Pokemon series itself. What's unique about this spirit in particular is the method of attainment. Prior to version 2.0.0, the only way to unlock this spirit is with save data from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Since I actually bought Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, I didn't have any way to acquire it when it first came out. So I actually opened up a Gamefly account, rented Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, created myself a save file, unlocked the spirit, and then sent it right back. That's probably the most extensive effort I went to acquire any one spirit. If you equip this Partner Pikachu support spirit, you can enjoy a slightly increased attack and movement speed while at 0% damage. Thanks to everyone for your spirit suggestions. Don't worry if I didn't use it, I am keeping a list. There were really a lot of really great spirit suggestions last time. I'm definitely going to use some of them in the future. If there's a spirit you'd like to see featured as the spirit of the week, leave your suggestion in the comment section below, and if yours is selected, you'll be recognized in the episode with an on-screen credit. Now it's time to sound off. Pokemon's been one of the hottest franchises the world over for 25 years. There's almost 1,000 Pokemon out there. And to catch them all, you've got to go to all corners of the Poke world. But it always starts with one. So my question for you, my friends, across all generations of Pokemon, which Pokemon is the best starter? Now, there's a lot of different ways you can interpret this. You can get really deep into the metagame and figure out which type has the best advantage, which one's the best in battle, which one's the most likely to win in a Pokemon beauty contest, which one looks the coolest, or just which one you like the best. While I've grown attached to a few starters over the different generations, there's one that will always stand out as my favorite, and that is Charmander. As a young Pokemon player, Charmander appealed to me because of his reddish color. Red has always been my favorite color, and in his fully evolved form, he looks like a dragon, and dragons are awesome. Not only do I think Charmander and subsequently Charmeleon and Charizard are the best starter of all time, but I can make a pretty good case for them being my favorite Pokemon bar none, with the possible exception of Gyarados. Especially a shiny Gyarados. But enough about me. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comment section below and let me know who is the best Pokemon starter. That wraps up another edition of Mii Weekly. Hope you had some Poke fun along the way. I know I did. Maybe I'll see you again next week. Till then, thanks for playing.